Good evening. This is Vicki. I want to introduce you to my game, 2048. The game is a favorite of mine since my high school students several years back introduced it to me because I like math and I like board games. The objective of 2048 is it's a puzzle game based on basically simple addition. The objective of the game is to reach a score of 2048 by merging adjacent similar number tiles on a 4x4 board. The game starts with two tiles of two random positions on the board, as you can see on the screen right there. I have my emulator up for my WXGA tablet. You can see the two random positions on the board, and it continues to add new tiles of two or four on random tiles after every move. The game ends, however, when the board is completely filled with numbers and you don't have any move left. You win when you get a score of 2048, but the game doesn't have to end at 2048. You can continue adding points to your score for as long as you can go until all of the tiles are filled up. I had a student in my computer science academy actually reach 16,000 and some odd change at one point. So let's take a look at my game. As you can see on my emulator, let me get my mouse over here. I do have a block that it totals the score as you go. Top score, that's just me since I've been playing the game. And I have a reset button right here. I can reset the game. And you see the two tiles that are put on the board randomly every single time. So I have the random feature. Now, to play the game, what you do is, let's say I want to start from here. I can't match 2 with a 4. I can only put a 2 on a 2 or a 4 on a 4, and so on and so forth. So what I need to do is I need to get numbers together. See, I've got two 4s here. If I drag this 4 on top of this 4, I have an 8. Now you can see my score up there is 12. If I put this 2 on 2, I got 4 more, so that makes 16. Now I've beat my own top score. If I put this 2 onto this 2, I got 4. Now my score is 20. If I move this over, move this 4 onto this 4, this 8 to this 8, as you can see, my game is functioning. The tiles are adding up to the numbers that they're supposed to, and it's adding to my score. I used to be relatively good at this. I'm not so much anymore. So I'd like to show you my code here in a minute. I just want you to see that it does keep going. Now this is when it starts really adding up. I have put this 16 on this 16 and I've got 32. So now my top score is 136. It's really starting to add up now. So when you can get your numbers to get to the big numbers and they start doubling, that's when you have a better chance of getting up to 2048. So you can see that the game is functioning as it's supposed to. My score so far is 192. It's indicating that it is my top score. My top score is 192. I can hit reset and start over, and it starts over again. Now, something that I put on this particular game that I wanted to make sure I point out is I have test ads. I put the ads features, the in-game ads, see, onto my game. So that was something that I've been anxious to learn how to do. So I was able to do that. So let's look at some of the code. Wait a minute, my computer didn't want to play. Shut my lid. That's what happens when your cat runs across your computer. This is the code right here. My game manager, pretty much everything runs from within the game manager. I do have a lot of classes, and that was mainly just to keep the tiles going. So if you look over here under the project, and this is in Android Studio, okay, I have a folder here of sprites that I also have as classes. So I have grid.java. That's the code that actually builds the grid that you see right here. This is a 4x4 grid. And so you have to have calculations to make sure that regardless of what size screen you put it on, that it's going to occupy the same amount of space that you want it to. So that's what you see here. I have my variables of screen width and standard size. I have to create a constructor so that I can get the screen height, and then a bitmap that put the scales on there. And this is what I have, standard size 4. What does that mean? That's the size 4. 4 across, 4 down, standard size 4. Now let's look and see what happens on the code. Now I'm going to have the screen width divided by 2. That's for me to get a grid, and then divided by 2 again. That gives me, that starts in the center, and that divides and gives me this 4x4 particular grid here. I'll probably play with this some more, and I see right here, canvas, draw the bitmap, and I've got the calculation to make sure that it stays centered on every particular size. My sprite.java, there you go, is my sprites. That's so that I can draw on the canvas. The tiles, these are the particular tiles. Now this took some time, although once I figured it out, it wasn't all that complicated, because I had to have tiles for every particular number that is involved in the game. So I first had to do some research and find out what are the particular numbers. I had to do random, of course, so that the tiles pop up randomly, and I had to do the calculation to make sure that when a tile pops up, that it fits perfectly inside of the space on the grid. So I had to look up and do some calculations. That was some algorithms for me. And the destinations of X and Y, you know about the X and Y, and the speed. Now the constructors are my public tiles, screen width, screen height, tile manager, so I can call them back. I have all of the standard size, again, so that the calculations would work regardless of the size of the screen it was on. So current X and 2 minus 2 times standard size. This is right here is the algorithm's particular calculation that makes this grid right here fit perfectly centered on any type screen. And then right there, you can see the matrix. That's the screen matrix. And then it gets the value and returns the count and returns increments. See right here? We're moving them. You slide them across. You can do it touchscreen or with the mouse. So I have the tile callback. There we go again. Is if a particular tile is in one place and you move it to the other, what happens? Those were just particular algorithms right here. So what I also have, let me move this over a little bit so you can see, my classes are the game manager, again, that everything runs through. The game manager callback. This particular, it's for the game over, and it updates the score, and it says when it reaches the score of 2048. That's the game manager callback. Main activity, right there. Let me bring it back over again so we can see it. Right here, it's a private ad view. This is where I'm putting the mobile ads. So I had to do some research, and I had to create an account on the developer on the Play Store, and this is where my code is to add the mobile ads. I just have it on there as a test because I've not actually, you can see it down here, set up a particular ad at this time, but I was particularly excited that I was able to create the ad and get it working so that you can monetize your games. So I was really excited about that success after the testing fiasco last week. So I also have that. I have the main activity of the main thread. Okay, I have, let's look again. Right here. If you wonder, I had surgery on my hand Wednesday, so I'm trying to use a right-handed mouse with my left hand. And this right here is to create my variables, my surface holder, and for the game manager, this is the end game right here. Okay, so I have a separate class for end game that updates when the game ends. Game manager callback, we went over that. Main activity, that's for my mobile ads. Main thread, this right here is where all of my variables are created, and the screen, and it to run is the game running, as long as the game's running, and the start time, the time to milliseconds, the wait time, the target time. So I have the times of how long it actually sets before something happens in nanotime, and lock the canvas. Only our thread can access, so that nothing can happen to the canvas except the thread that's coded to run. Okay, and the time again. This is right here how we're calculating the calculation for the time between everything. The wait time, if wait time is greater than 0 before the player actually starts playing. So I have the main thread. Here's my score. This right here implements my sprite that is the score. Okay, and it's under the score preference. And here is where my bitmap pulls in for the score, for the reset, for the words up here, score and top score, and it paints them on. And I have a top score bonus. I've not reached it, but I hope to. And here's all of my resources. There's the top score that indicates the top score there, and how that's painted onto the screen. So let's see, where's the bonus? There's the score again. So I have, and then the swipe callback. This is based on when you drag the particular tiles around. That's the swipe. Swipe listener, this is the listener. Gesture director, so it's listening for me to grab and move, and the gestures to move each of those tiles. And then I have a tile manager that just manages everything that's to do with my tiles, because since there's so many of them, again, what you're looking at here is the main algorithm, but it's not as bad as it seems, because there's just so many tiles, so a lot of it has to be done numerous times because of the tiles. So as you can see there, here's the individual tiles, the numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 16. Okay, and then if it's greater than or less than, here you go, is where it's incrementing, and it's adding all of the numbers together, so that when I pull the 2 over, it adds it, it increments it, and this is puts another random tile up, as you saw there. So this is some code that I commented out here just so I could save it, because I'm going to try some different things. And this is the end game, and this is if you want to play again, and this is what direction that you're swiping. So this was the algorithm for the swiping. So there's a lot involved here in my tile manager, but as you can see, a lot of it's the same particular algorithm repeated numerous times to get the tiles and everything working correctly. Okay, so that was fun. The tile manager callback. So this is the tile manager callback for the interface, and that finish moving. If the tile finishes moving, update the score, and when you reach 2048, that's the update. So I'm very excited about this game. It works, it plays. I'm going to put it out there right on the Apple Play Store and the Android Play Store, because I'm going to have my sister and some relatives that like to play games test it out for me. And so I'm going to put it this weekend on the Play Store so that they can download it and play with it and help me work the bugs. I love it. Then maybe put some more colors and do some fancy things with it. Since I had surgery Wednesday, I won't be able to do much else. But this was a fantastic project. I feel like I'm learning incrementally now, because I'm able to apply things that I've had to work through numerous times over and over. And of course, practice does make perfect. So I'm far from perfect, but things are starting to become more familiar to me. I can spot when something is not looking right in my code, and I can find errors. Still not good at testing, but I can find errors when something is not working just by looking through the code. Thank goodness it's not thousands and thousands of lines, or that wouldn't work too well. But I learned a lot. I enjoyed it. I've got several more projects in the works, and I can't wait to see what everyone else is doing.